Okay, everyone. Settle in. And I mean, really settle in. Because the story I'm about to tell you, it's not just a tabloid headline. It's not just a flashy, forgettable blip in the endless, scrolling chaos of celebrity news. No. This is a saga. A sprawling, messy, utterly fascinating human drama about love, money, revenge, second chances, and the dizzying, unexpected ways our pasts can circle back to redefine our futures. It involves a cast of characters you might feel you know, even if you don't. There's the charismatic, once disgraced figure seeking redemption. The young, glamorous wife caught in a whirlwind. The quiet, steadfast husband watching his world unravel from the sidelines. And a single, staggering financial transaction, a loan for $56,000, that might just be the thread that pulls this entire, intricate tapestry together, or unravels it completely. So, let's rewind the tape. Let's set the stage properly. To understand the earthquake, you have to see the fault lines that were forming for years. Our central figure, our protagonist, or antagonist, depending on your viewpoint, is Gino Palazzolo. Now, if that name rings a bell from a few years back, you're not imagining it. Gino wasn't always in the periphery of celebrity-adjacent drama. He was once a central figure in a world of high-stakes finance and, well, let's say, controversial business practices. His name was synonymous with a certain brash, bold, unapologetic style. He lived large, loved loudly, and his fall from grace was as public and spectacular as his rise. There were legal troubles, financial collapses, a very public divorce, a reputation left in tatters. For a long while, Gino Palazzolo became a cautionary tale. A ghost of gossip passed. He retreated. The spotlight, which had once loved him, moved on. And in that quiet, in that aftermath, a man has to rebuild. Not just his bank account, but his identity. Who is Gino Palazzolo when the cameras are off and the money's gone? That's a profound and lonely question. Enter, Jasmine. Now, Jasmine is a whole different energy. Younger, vibrant, a figure who existed in the glittering orbit of influencers, models, and LA's aspirational class. She was beautiful, of course, but more than that, she projected an image of sweet, grounded stability, a surprising contrast to the often chaotic world she brushed against. She wasn't a megastar, but she had a presence. A carefully curated life that spoke of sunny days, tasteful fashion, and normality. And for a long time, the central figure in that normal, sunny picture was Matt. Ah, Matt. The steady one. The husband who wasn't flashy, wasn't a headline maker. He was the anchor. While Jasmine's world sparkled, Matt seemed to be the foundation it was built upon. Their marriage, from the outside, looked like a safe harbor. A partnership built on mutual support, away from the extreme drama of someone like, say, a Gino Palazzolo. They were the quiet, happy couple you'd see in a few social media posts and think, well, good for them. They've got it figured out. For years, these two stories ran on parallel tracks. The fallen titan, Gino, licking his wounds in the shadows. The sunny couple, Jasmine and Matt, living their seemingly uncomplicated life in the light. Their worlds were galaxies apart. Or so it seemed. Because then, it happened. The first crack in the universe. The first headline that made you do a double take. Gino Palazzolo and Jasmine. Together. Photographed. Not just as acquaintances, but as a couple. The gossip columns exploded. The comment sections caught fire. How? Why? When? This wasn't just an unlikely pairing, it was a narrative collision. The embodiment of chaotic, scandalous past with the symbol of calm, curated present. The rumors flew. Was it a whirlwind romance? A calculated move? A genuine, against-all-odds connection? Details were sparse but suggestive. Whispers of meetings at low-key industry events, of a connection forged over shared, misunderstood experiences. Gino, the older, weathered man, seeing in Jasmine not just youth, but a kind of grace he'd lost. Jasmine, perhaps seeing in Gino not the scandal, but the project, the complex, passionate man beneath the ruined reputation, a man who could offer a kind of intense, all-consuming love that a safe, stable life might lack. It was a classic, almost Shakespearean dynamic, the seeker of redemption and the angel of mercy. And it moved fast. Blindingly fast. Before anyone could fully process the how, we were hit with the what next. And what came next was a headline that felt ripped from a movie: Gino Palazzolo Remarries. And the bride? Jasmine. Just Jasmine. No last name needed. The girl next door had just married the wolf from Wall Street. The ceremony, from what little filtered out, was telling. It wasn't a massive, celebrity-studded affair. It was intense, private, emotionally charged. It felt less like a celebration and more like a statement. A fortress being built for two against the world. Gino looked, in the few grainy photos, like a man reborn, a second chance made flesh. Jasmine looked, committed. Radiant, but with a determined set to her smile. This was a choice. A definitive, life-altering choice. Now, let's just pause here and consider the other side of this equation. Let's picture Matt. Imagine waking up one day to find that the life you built, the wife you loved, has not just left, but has run headlong into the arms of one of the most notoriously dramatic figures on the periphery of your world. The whiplash must have been catastrophic. The humiliation, profound. The confusion, absolute. One day, you're planning a quiet weekend, the next, your wife is the new Mrs. Palazzolo. And this is where the second, darker wave of headlines began to crest. Almost in unison with the wedding announcements, another strain of gossip started to spread, slithering through the digital undergrowth: Matt's divorce rumors. Except, wait. He was already divorcing. The marriage was over. So what were these rumors really about? They were murkier, nastier. Whispers about why Jasmine really left. Suggestions about Matt's behavior, his career, his suitability. Was he too boring? Was there a hidden side? Was he, somehow, at fault for driving his vibrant wife into the arms of a man like Gino? It was classic blame-shifting narrative, a smokescreen of doubt being pumped out. The source was never clear: anonymous friends, vague insiders. But the effect was to reframe the story. It was no longer just Jasmine leaves Matt for Gino. It was becoming, Jasmine fled a difficult situation and found salvation with Gino. See the difference? The first is a choice between two men. The second is an escape and a rescue. Matt, to his credit, stayed almost entirely silent. He didn't do tell-all interviews. He didn't post cryptic messages. He absorbed the shock and the slung mud with a quiet dignity that only made the louder, Palazzolo-centric narrative seem performative by comparison. His silence was a roar. And in that silence, people started asking harder questions. What was really going on? And then, boom. The financial headline. The piece of data that doesn't lie, that can't be spun with emotional language or staged photos. Public records revealed that Jasmine took out a personal loan. For $56,000. $56,000. Not a small sum. Not an amount you borrow for a new handbag or a vacation. The timing was incendiary. It happened after the relationship with Gino had begun, but potentially before the full legalities of her divorce from Matt were settled. The financial trigger coincided almost perfectly with the romantic and social quake. Now, the internet, being the internet, immediately split into warring camps. The theorists went into overdrive. What was the money for? Let's explore the possibilities, because each one paints a wildly different picture of this entire drama. Theory 1, the Clean Break and Fresh Start Fund. This is the most benign explanation. Perhaps Jasmine needed liquidity. Leaving a marriage, even an amicable one, involves financial disentanglement. She might have needed money for a new apartment deposit, a car, legal fees independent of the divorce proceedings, living expenses while assets were frozen. $56,000 could be a bridge to independence. It suggests a pragmatic woman securing her own footing during a transitional period. In this version, the loan is about Jasmine asserting her own agency, separate from both Matt and Gino. It's a responsible, if unromantic, detail. Theory 2, the Palazzolo bailout. This is the juiciest, most scandalous theory. Gino Palazzolo, for all his aura of a comeback, has a history of financial volatility. What if the comeback isn't fully funded? What if, beneath the bravado of the remarriage, there are lingering debts, cash flow problems, pressing obligations from his past life? A young bride, perhaps emotionally swept up in a mission to save her new husband, takes out a loan in her name, with her presumably cleaner credit history, to shore up his life. The $56,000 becomes a symbol not of independence, but of enmeshment. It's the modern-day equivalent of pawning your jewelry for your partner's scheme. It paints the marriage not as a romantic reunion, but as a potentially transactional rescue mission, with Jasmine now financially liable for Gino's renaissance. Theory 3, the image and lifestyle loan. This theory lives in the world of perception, which is the currency of Jasmine's former world. Stepping into the role of Mrs. Gino Palazzolo carries an image burden. There's an expectation of a certain lifestyle, wardrobe, grooming, travel, appearing at events looking the part. Gino's assets might be tied up, illiquid, or simply not as vast as the legend suggests. The loan could be capital to fund the image of the new life. To curate the Instagram feed of the second chance love story. It's a loan for the performance of success, which in their world, is often a necessary step to attracting real success. It's cynical, but horrifically plausible. Theory 4, the legal war chest. Divorces can be nasty, even seemingly quiet ones. What if Matt wasn't going to just quietly fade away? What if there were disputes over assets, properties, spousal support? The $56,000 could be a retainer for a bulldog attorney, or a fund to finance a protracted legal battle. This theory frames Jasmine as a strategist, preparing for war on her way out the door, with Gino possibly as her advisor or simply the reason the war is necessary. It turns the love story into a cold, premeditated corporate takeover of her own life. Theory 5, the investment in us. Perhaps it's less sinister and more entrepreneurial. Maybe Gino has a new business venture, a podcast, a consultancy, a line of products, and the loan was seed capital. Jasmine, as the new partner, invests in their shared future. It's a joint business decision. The us against the world mentality made financial. This casts them as a startup couple, betting on themselves. Risky? Absolutely. But it fits a narrative of rebirth and joint enterprise. Each theory tells a different story. Is Jasmine a victim, a savior, a schemer, a businesswoman, or just a pragmatic individual? The loan doesn't give us the answer, but it screams the question. And we must consider the human cost here, beyond the numbers. Let's think about Matt again, watching this unfold. Your ex-wife, months after leaving you for a famously volatile figure, takes out a significant loan. The speculation alone would be torture. Is she in trouble? Is she being used? Or is she actively funding the life she chose over yours? Every tabloid headline about the loan is a fresh public humiliation for him. Let's think about Jasmine. The pressure must be immense. She's now legally bound to a man with a catastrophic financial history. She has a $56,000 debt in her name. The world is dissecting her every move, questioning her intelligence, her motives, her heart. The fairy tale is under a microscope, and the viewers are looking for cracks. And Gino. This is his second act. His chance to rewrite his legacy. But now, the shadow of his past, the financial instability, has potentially reached into his new marriage in the form of a loan document. Does he feel emasculated? Grateful? Obligated? Is he the mastermind or a beneficiary? The loan introduces a power dynamic that is impossible to ignore. This, my friends, is why this story transcends gossip. It's a perfect storm of modern anxieties. It's about the economics of love in an influencer age. It's about how past failures haunt future happiness. It's about the blurred line between personal and public finance. It's about the stories we tell ourselves to justify seismic life changes. Where are they now? The dust hasn't settled. Gino and Jasmine present a united, loved-up front on social media when they appear at all, but the loan is a matter of record, a fact in the database that contradicts any fiction. Matt remains silent, a ghost in this story, yet his presence is felt in every question about how this began. The divorce rumors have morphed from why into a lingering cloud of financial and emotional speculation. The ultimate question isn't really will Gino and Jasmine last? The ultimate question is, what is the true cost of this second chance? Is the cost $56,000 plus interest? Is it the total dissolution of a quiet, previous life? Is it the permanent stain of speculation and doubt? Gino got his redemption arc, Jasmine got her grand, passionate love story. But the financial document, that cold, hard line item of $56,000, sits there like an unexploded bomb on the lawn of their new marriage. Who placed it there? And when will it go off? This saga reminds us that in today's world, relationships aren't just matters of the heart. They are mergers, acquisitions, startups, and sometimes, bailouts. Every happily ever after has a balance sheet. And in the case of Gino, Jasmine, and the ghost of Matt, we are all desperate forensic accountants, trying to read the true story in the numbers, between the headlines, and behind the perfectly curated smiles. So, we watch. And we wait. Because if there's one thing the story of Gino Palazzolo has taught us, it's that where there is drama, and debt, and desperate love, the final chapter is rarely quiet. The $56,000 question has been asked. We are all just waiting, with bated breath, for the answer. Matt, to his credit, stayed almost entirely silent. He didn't do tell-all interviews. He didn't post cryptic messages. He absorbed the shock and the slung mud with a quiet dignity that only made the louder, Palazzolo-centric narrative seem performative by comparison. His silence was a roar. And in that silence, people started asking harder questions. What was really going on? Thank you for listening. This has been A Story. And it's far from over.